He's a guy from United States of America. We met in Poland because we worked together as language teachers. Mamma mia, biedni. No, and so please introduce yourself.
Yeah, hey, my name's Scott. I'm from Michigan, really close to Canada in America, the United States.
Mm.
I came here 10 years ago.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah, and I've been here ever since for 10 years. But my first time in Poland was 2009. But I've been slowly learning the Polish language and culture throughout these 10 years.
Oh yeah, what's your background, like your degree or something? Like you were, as far as I know, you were already familiar with the Polish culture somehow, right? When you came here. Or
Yeah,
not?
yeah. Yeah, I had studied um Slavic culture
Cool.
in university in Detroit. And it was mostly for Russian, but one of my teachers, Isa, for Polish culture, she said, "Yo, you have to go to Wrocław," and she said, "Szczytnicki is magiczny, magiczny, magiczny" in the winter, and so I came to Wrocław, and yeah, I guess I stayed.
Yeah, and then, I mean, what was your first impression, like, of Poland or Wrocław or the, Krasnale, the dwarfs?
Oh gosh. Well, I came here in February, and I remember there was so much snow that I thought I was in Siberia. And it because in America we have a stereotype about Eastern Europe where it's just always cold and super cold and frozen and frost all the time, and
We have the same.
yeah, I was a little scared.
It's the same in Italy. No
Yeah,
worries, like, even, Poland in Italian sounds like Polonia. So like in English, like a pole, like the pole, Northern Pole and Southern Pole.
oh
So that's like we connected with, with as you said, freezing stuff and freezing atmosphere,
yeah,
and so not so
yeah, i
different from
was
reality, though.
I was definitely worried, but yeah, it turns out that I guess Wrocław isn't even as cold as it gets in Detroit. So
Yeah.
I guess it's a little bit of a warmer change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was pretty scared.
For example, talking about Polish behaviors, like how they behave, like I don't know, when you talk to them, or their mentality, like what do you think? What was your first impression? Did it change? So, for example, my impression changed, and yeah.
Um, there are there are three things that come to mind right away.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know if I like it or dislike it, but I can appreciate the differences. I'm from the Midwest
Hmm.
in the United States, and everyone's like always super mega friendly all the time, and they'll talk to you even if you're a stranger. So I realized that you don't really say hello to people when you're walking down the street.
You mean here? You don't say here in
Yeah,
Poland. You don't
yeah.
say
Here
hello.
you don't really say hello. Maybe if you're like on a deserted country road and there's only one other person walking by, then you say, "Oh, dzień dobry."
And then
But you don't really acknowledge people while walking down the street. Maybe that's also just because Wrocław is a big city. I mean, in Detroit, you don't really acknowledge every single person you walk by. But I remember that was a sort of different thing. Like if you lock eyes with someone, you don't
uh
really acknowledge them.
Hmm.
Is that you don't say? This may sound a little weird, but you don't say "I love you" after every conversation. with your loved ones.
What do you mean that after every conversation? Like,
yeah, like when I talk to my, like my dad or my mom or my brothers,
you go like,
we
love you. Uh-huh.
yeah, we always say I love you. I think, I mean, this is just my, my theory, but I think it's because if it's the last time that you see someone, you remember the last thing you said to them was I love you. I think
Oh,
that might be the reason behind it. So yeah, every phone conversation, every time you see someone, not exactly like your friends or even really close friends, but definitely family, aunts, uncles, definitely mom, dad, cousins. Yeah, you say "I love you" after every conversation.
we do,
And
for example, we do not really say it in Italian, for example. I mean, we don't say like, okay, then there's another issue that we say ti voglio bene, ti amo, and they both mean I love you. You can say like the ti voglio bene only to your, I mean, both to your partner and to your mom and dads and whatever, but you can say ti amo only to your partner, no, for example. But we do not say ti amo, ti voglio bene at the end of the conversation. Like unless it's maybe with your partner you can say oh ti amo at the end, like love you, but it's not like a habit we have. So for example, didn't
sure,
surprise me like here in Poland that
yeah,
they don't say kocham cię czy cokolwiek, nie? Like at the end
yeah,
of a
yeah, yeah.
conversation. Didn't surprise me.
That's definitely, I think, a truly kind of an American thing.
Didn't know
And
that.
I've kind of come to appreciate it now because yeah, I mean, I think that the reasoning behind it is kind of nice. And also the love thing, which is also a sorry thing, for the same reason. In Polish, there's uwielbiać
Uh-huh.
and kochać.
Mm-hmm.
In America, we don't distinguish between them. Like you
Mm-hmm.
would say, uwielbiam pierogi, but you don't really say kocham
Kocham
pierogi,
pierogi,
right?
yeah. Like I love pierogi, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But in America, we just say, man, I love it, I love it, I love it. And it's also what you would say to your partner or your family. So that I guess really isn't something that I like or dislike. I just noticed that was a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I remember when I was at the preschool, I work at a preschool. There was this one kid
Mm-hmm.
who was kind of sad, and I'm like, oh gosh, what was his name? Was it Kuba? Yeah. I'm like, oh, Kuba, what's wrong? What happened? And he's like, oh, my grandpa died,
Oh.
and I'm like, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. And he, I remember, I, I remember what he said. He's like, zamordował go pan?
It's like
Yeah,
for who
like,
doesn't speak
oh
Polish,
no,
that's
no.
like yeah, like did you kill him, right? No?
Yeah, exactly. And he's it was funny because in English we say sorry, and that just means like it means przykro mi
Yeah,
and
przykro mi.
przepraszam, right?
Like that you are
And
sorry and it's not your doesn't mean that that's your fault, but you're sorry for it,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Zamordował pan.
And
Did you kill
I thought that
him?
was very funny. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, przykro mi, przepraszam. It's the same in English. So that was kind of a weird thing. Yeah, that's just the first couple things that come to mind, but I'm sure there's a million other differences.